Welcome to Mindset Mondays, where we empower contractors like you with the tools, systems, and frameworks, not just to succeed in business, but in life as well. Join us as we explore the strategies that will elevate your work, insights that will clear your path, and stories that will inspire your journey. Because here, it's about more than just the build. It's about crafting a legacy.
Good Monday and welcome back to Mindset Monday. I'm your host, Gerritt Bake of the American Contractor Network. We are here in conjunction with Contractor Plus, the only CRM you will ever need to scale your contracting business. And why do we have Mindset Monday? Well, we're trying to take the stress out of your business. I want to start today off by telling you a little funny story. Last week, I was talking to my youngest son, and he happens to be a senior in high school. Boy, do I remember those days. Actually, I don't. I was so obsessed with getting out of high school that I didn't even want to think about it. But we were talking about high school, and this funny thing happened. This funny thing where we started talking about, the future. And the future for an 18-year-old is different than the future for a 45-year-old. Yes, I'm 45. Congratulations. Right? Because what are you thinking about at 18? You're thinking about getting laid and getting paid. Like that's what's going through your mind. It's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just the reality of it. But when you start to get older, now you start to think about the different things in life, right? Where is it that I'm taking this thing? What's a legacy that I'm leaving, right? I look at where I'm at, and the truth is I've passed the halfway point of life, which, by the way, if you are here live with us, go ahead and drop your name, your business name, where you're from, so we can shout you out. We got Trey Martin, Boom Property Solutions from Atlanta. Welcome to the show. Go ahead and drop it in the comments, and we'll make sure that we shout you out. But we were talking about this, and he was thinking about what is it that he wants to do with his life, right? And how many of you guys are still trying to figure that one out? Some days I feel the same way. But we're having this conversation, and it came to me the importance of time. Of all the things that I wanted my son to understand, it was time. See, because we'd like to think that kids stay small forever. They don't. We'd like to think that we're always going to be able to run a 6-minute mile or less. We won't. We always like to think that we're going to be good looking. Look at my hairline. We won't, right? Like, things are going to happen. And so what is it that we're prioritizing? We got Anthony's here. We got Mr. Primper, Chandler Construction. Welcome to the show. We're always trying to outrace time, the thing that we cannot control. And so we spent the better part of an hour talking just about time. Like, son, if you want to be a doctor, go be a doctor. If you want to be a lawyer, go be a lawyer. If you want to work in construction, go work in construction. But whatever it is, don't waste your time. You've probably heard the saying that it takes 10,000 hours to master a craft. Well, if you can master that between the ages of 18 and 22, the rest of your life is going to be a whole lot better, right? Why wait? Why wait? Why waste? We got Marlon, Picture Perfect Concrete. Welcome to the show. So today's topic, if you couldn't tell already, all centers around time. The one thing that we wish we could control, but we have no idea how to. Or do we? We got Tristan Laponsi from the TARP guys. Welcome to the show. Michael, I can't pronounce your last name. I apologize. Hegel, what's up? Don G, ProScope Services from Hotlanta as well. So here's what we want to give you guys today. We want to give you guys some practical tools that you can use, like literally today. There's going to be some stuff, if you're in front of a computer, you can screenshot. If you're driving, don't attempt, but don't worry, it's recorded, so you can go back and still see it. But we're going to talk about time management. And we're going to talk about time management, but more specifically for contractors. Now, I want to question you a little bit, and if you want to drop this in the comments, you can, but I want to challenge the way that you think about time. Now, when we say we don't have enough time, what is it that we're actually saying? Is it time that we're after? Right? Do we want to take our clock and rewind it? Right? Good old daylight savings. I don't know how somebody decided that they could take away an hour and give it back whenever they wanted to. But is that what we're after? So I want to challenge you guys because I want you to think about this, okay? How do we measure a day? One day. How do we measure a day? Take your guess, right? A day is simply one rotation of the earth, right? The earth's spinning around once. That's a day. How do we measure a month? Well, a month is one rotation of the moon around the earth. Another circle, okay? How do we measure a year? A year is one rotation of the earth around the sun. So think about this. When we're saying that we want more time, what is the thing that we're actually after? It's not minutes and seconds. It's not hours and days. What we're after is progress. Because think about it. The earth is moving in a circle. That's progress. The moon is moving around the earth. That's progress. The earth is moving around the sun. That's progress. So what you really want is progress in your life. And so when we say, I don't have enough time, I'm struggling with time, I have too many things to do and not enough time, what we're really saying is we're not making the progress that we want to make in our lives. Okay? Now, sit with that thought for a minute. We got Johnny on the spot, Home Services, Anchorage, Alaska. Welcome to the show, Johnny. Think about that for a minute. Okay? That's the thing that we're after. We got Joe Vega, Joe with the one and only Mr. Mason. Anthony, you're funny, man. No, the earth is not flat. I'm sorry if your parents lied to you about that in Santa Claus. Okay, so let's think about this. If we're after progress, what is it that we need to do to get the progress that we want out of life? What do we need to do? And those are some of the things that we're going to teach you today. Now, I'll tell you, for the longest time, I was not a master of time. In fact, I was really good at one thing and one thing only. It was called just winging it. In fact, I used to get a high out of it. It was like this addiction to me. How many things can I pile up on my plate to the last minute so that I can then turn around and try and get it all done in a stupid amount of time? There was a class I needed to get credit for, and I had to turn in, I forgot, it was like 3 different papers, and they were due, I don't know, by midnight the next day. Then I turned around and procrastinated the entire semester, and in the last 24 hours wrote 3 papers. Why? To prove that I'm capable of doing something that's idiotic and stupid? Well, that's what I felt like, right? Like, look at me, look what I can do. When I was working as a police officer, I continued this wonderful just wing it and procrastination strategy. Anytime there's a report taken, right, you have to file that report, which includes, you're outlining, the parties involved, you're outlining what happened. There might be pictures or other documentation that needs to happen. All of these things need to be included in this report. Well, I was still a young officer at the time. And the only thing I wanted to do was drive fast and tase people. Like, that's all I wanted to do. How can I go find somebody with, drugs or guns or, somebody with a warrant or a stolen car? I was chasing that high, right? And so slowly but surely, the reports started to pile up in my inbox. 1 report, 1 week, 3 reports the next, 5 reports, 7. I got down 15 reports, 15, before my sergeant grounded me. Like a little second grader, he grounded me. You cannot go out to recess until you finish your paperwork. And so for the next 2 days, 48 hours, 2 days, I was grounded. I was stuck at the station, literally typing my reports. Why? Because my time management sucked ass. Horrible. It was terrible. And I had to be taught the lesson, right? Now, I'm not going to say that lesson right then and there changed everything for me, because it didn't. But what it taught me was the importance of incorporating time management. Now, over the years, I've learned this importance of time management, right? Of not procrastinating everything till the end. Why? Because, man, it makes things so much harder than they need to be. So much harder. Going back to the conversation with my son, he's taking some AP tests starting next Monday. In fact, he has 4 in 1 week. And last night, he was supposed to study. 7 o'clock, I go up to his room to check on him. He's passed out. He's completely gone. The dog's jumping on the bed like nothing. He wakes up at 7 o'clock this morning, 12 hours later, and is like, man, I'm really tired. Well, yeah, because you slept for 12 hours, right? But now he put himself a little bit behind the gun. So the conversation is like, hey, don't put yourself farther behind the gun than you actually need to be. All right, enough about stories, but let's get into some practical applications, right? Now, before we start to give you these tools, I want to ask you a question. How many hours do you believe that you waste every single week? How many hours? Notice I used a very specific word, waste, right? Just like throwing stuff in the trash can. How many hours do you waste a week? If you have a hard time figuring this out, we can start with this thing. It's called a cell phone, okay? You can go in there and it will tell you how much time you've spent on social media, you watching YouTube videos, using a particular app, playing a game, right? How many hours do you think when you're too busy, you're actually spending doing things that are unproductive? So how many hours are you wasting on a weekly basis? Now I'll tell you, when Apple came out with that feature, I was a little embarrassed because the hours I spent on social media and doing unproductive tasks on a daily basis were around 5 to 6 hours. Yes, I'm admitting that to you. 5 to 6 hours. Okay. That's crazy, right? What could I accomplish if I had an extra 5 to 6 hours in my days? Well, I had them. I just wasn't using them the right way. We got Maria Castellanos says like 4 hours, to be honest. Appreciate that, Maria. Ronald Schneider says too much. That's a nice round number there. I'm sure a lot of people have the too much in there, right? I'm guaranteeing you right now, you are wasting a minimum of 3 hours a day. Minimum, right? Now, how is it that we overcome this then? If we know that we're wasting time, how is it that we overcome it? Okay, step number 1. Welcome, Rebecca. Welcome, Victor. Step number 1, okay, is you have to actually see where it is that your time is being spent. So what you're going to need to do is for an entire week, take a notebook. You can take something like this, right? Or you can do it in the notes section of your phone. Cameron, welcome to the show. Joe, you're right. It's called a rabbit hole. For an entire week, what you're going to need to do is document where it is that you're spending your time. Do you always wake up at the same time? Now, I know this is not normal. I always wake up at 4 a.m., right? I know what happens between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m., right? I meditate. I pray. I go to the gym, take care of myself. I spend time with my wife and my son, the last one at home, right? And then eat breakfast with the family. Everybody heads out. Boom. I've now had 3 hours in my day where I've prepared for what needs to happen that day, invested in the people that matter most, and then I'm hitting it, right? Okay, so then what happens? Well, it depends on the day of the week. Sometimes I have client calls. Sometimes I have workshops and presentations. Sometimes I'm meeting people for lunch, right? Sometimes I'm working on different videos or things that I need to get done, right? But every single day I have things mapped out so I know what's happening, okay? So think about this. If you don't know where your time is going, you're going to have to document it. And the easiest way is at the end of the day, go back and look at your calendar and then think about what you did in those gaps and holes in your calendar. How much time did you spend driving? How many time did you spend at the office where you thought a task was going to take you 1 hour and it took you 3, right? We're looking at all of these things. Where are you spending your time? Okay. And inside of that, you're going to notice a pattern of behavior that you have. Why? Because we're humans. We are creatures of habit. You always go to the same gas station. You always get the same energy drink. Some of y'all love McDonald's, but some of you guys love it, right? And every lunch, it's Big Mac with cheese. Awesome, right? But we're creatures of habit. We drive the same speed. We go the same places. We shop the same stores. We go to bed at the same, like all of these things are the same. So we are creatures of habit. In order to change those habits, though, we have to figure out what it is that we're doing. All right? So next question. Once you've figured out the things that you're doing in a week, answering phones, putting estimates together, working on the job site, driving, whatever these things are, once you've figured out what those numbers are, yep, Chapel or Chappelle pressure washing, you made it to the show. Congratulations. If there was some sound here, I would give you the clap. All right. Now, once you've figured out what you're doing on a weekly basis, what is the thing that we need to do next? The next thing we need to do is look at the tasks, the jobs, the things that we were doing that week. And I want you to prioritize them. And you're going to do this backwards. You're going to ask yourself a question. How much is an hour of time worth to do this thing? Post on social media, answer phones, send emails, right? Because you're going to ask yourself, is this a $10 an hour task? Now, selling, I don't believe is a $10 an hour task. Some types of marketing, sure, $10 an hour task. But some parts of marketing are definitely a $10 an hour task, right? Some above, some below. What about doing your books? Right? We start to look at all these things and say, okay, how many of these things are $10 an hour tasks? Now, why do I say that? Because it is 2024 and you can hire somebody who works remotely to do a lot of things for you for $10 an hour. So again, how many hours are you spending doing tasks that are $10 an hour tasks? One of the biggest things that changed for me in my business was when I offloaded answering the phone, answering emails, posting on social media, and billing. Offloaded all those to somebody that I could pay $10 an hour to do. Why? Because now that freed up my time to go do tasks in the time that I had that were higher priority and worth more. So how many of your hours in a day do you think you're spending doing $10 an hour tasks? You can go ahead and write in the comments. How many hours do you spend doing $10 hour tasks, right? $10 an hour. And sure, you can call it 15, whatever, but I can get you a virtual assistant for $10. So that's why I call it the $10 an hour task. But anything under 20, if you want to say 20, how many hours a day do you spend doing things that are worth under $20 a day? Some of you like to make sure the house is clean, or your truck is washed, or the uniforms are ordered, or whatever the thing is. And there's nothing wrong with that, except that that's a $10 an hour task, and you're doing it. Now, if you're having a hard time figuring out what you should and shouldn't be doing, let me help you out. You need to calculate how much an hour of your time is worth. 1 hour of your time. And that's going to help you figure out what you should and should not be doing. Okay? Now, how do you figure out what an hour of your time is worth? Well, depends. Okay? But if you look at it, this is a little easier if you're the one-man band, but you look at this and say, okay, how much do I bring in on a monthly basis and how many hours do I work, right? Joe, more than my $3,000 an hour tasks. That's a high number. I like it though. I like it, okay? So you're looking at your hourly rate. How much are you charging an hour? For you, not your guys, right? Your guys might be 40. You take into account your fixed costs. You might bump them to 70, okay? So an hour of your guys' times is worth $70 an hour. But what about your time? How much is an hour of your time worth? Here's a clue. You should start north of 250. And most of you should be above $500 an hour. This is a hard thing. Like, I get it. A lot of you guys grew up blue collar, right? Like, my dad was a school teacher. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. Like, we had a what was it called? WIC access. We had the access to the food program before it was cool. Before you could go to McDonald's and the convenience store and everywhere else. Like, we had powdered milk, flour, rolled oats, sugar. Like, I've played those games. I've been involved in that. We had a garden, not necessarily because it was cool to garden, but it gave us vegetables, right, that we could eat. And I worked in the yard. My shoes in 6th grade, they were the Reeboks. If you remember the cool Reeboks, the pump shoes, for those of us who are a little older, I had those. It was cool. My parents got them for me. It was my present for the year. And 2 days later, I had a hole in the side of them. But they were my shoes for the year. So I grabbed a roll of duct tape and duct taped them. Like, I get it, right? the mentality that you grow up with is I need to do everything because it's saving me money, because I need to be frugal, because. That's the way you grew up. But you have to change your mindset. Because if you're not doing those $10, $20, even $30 an hour tasks, what should you and could you be doing? Right? Building relationships with the big builder that you've been trying to get in with for months. Following up on all those leads that just seem to fall through the cracks. I had somebody in my office last week. He's a framer. And he says, yeah, man, I just don't have enough time to get back to this guy who wants his custom home build. I'm like, you don't have enough time or you're not making enough time, right? Again, prioritize. So how much is an hour of your time worth? Anything below that, you need to start to figure out how to offload that task. I brought up books. And I brought books for a reason. Why? Because most of y'all suck at books. I know I do. Throw myself in there too. You suck at running your books. In fact, you detest it. You hate it. But you need it. You can't make decisions without it. So find a good accountant that you can pay $3 an hour to do. All right, not $3, $30 an hour, right? Pay them what they're worth, but you don't have to think about it and you don't have to stress about it and you don't have to worry about it anymore. Something else. I don't know how much you guys are using Contractor Plus, but you should be, because it's going to help you prioritize your time, prioritize your tasks. You can set your prices inside of there. And then the next time you go to build an estimate, you don't have to start from zero. How much do I charge for that? No, it's already in there, right? It helps with your follow-up with your clients, help organize your information. You're not searching for phone numbers or emails or trying to remember what it was that somebody wanted, right? Start to use some of these tools that are in front of you, that you have access to. Now, there's some more questions I want to ask you, but before we get into that, I actually want to start to give you some of these tools. These are tools that I've used. These are tools that I've shared with hundreds of contractors. Like last week, I was hosting a workshop for the Home Builders Association. We had almost 100 contractors in the room. We had a government panel. Like, it was great. People want to know about what's the government doing to help builders and contractors and affordable housing and all that good stuff. And guess what? At the end of the day, people still struggling with time. Okay, so we're going to give you a couple tools. So the first one that we want to talk about is the list. How many of you guys have a to-do list? Or even worse, multiple to-do lists? To-do list 1, to-do list 2, to-do list 3. I left that to-do list in the truck. The other one's in my phone. I have one on my nightstand, right? You have multiple to-do lists. But why is it the to-do list never gets done? Because it's just a random list of things that need to get done. There's no prioritization, okay? So here's a little tool that you can use to prioritize. Okay, we call them the 4 Ds. When you've written everything out on a list, you need to now look at that list and start to separate it out. Okay? The first thing on the list is the things that you need to do. You as the owner of the business, you as the salesperson, you as the guy that has to shake hands and kiss babies, like the things that you need to do. I get it. You're going to want to start to move. If you can see the screen, I popped something up on the screen here. You're going to want to move away from the things that you shouldn't be doing, but focus on the things that only you should do, right? Do it. Those tasks. Now, some of you guys are readers. If you're not, you should probably become one, or at least a listener. Right? There's so much good information on audiobooks. Stephen Covey, who's considered one of the foremost experts, he's passed away, but he's one of the foremost experts when it comes to time management, came up with what he called the time matrix. We had that up on the screen, right? But everything that you do is going to fall into one of 4 categories. Again, there's the stuff that you need to do. No one else can do, okay? Then there's the stuff that you can delegate. One of the things that we just talked about. Delegate. I don't need to do this. It needs to get done, but I don't need to do this. I can either hire somebody to do it, or I have somebody on my team that I can delegate this task to. Example, bookkeeping, right? We talked about that. The third one is defer. It needs to get done, but it doesn't need to get done right now. You may need to create a new follow-up sequence for your clients when you don't close them on the first try. Sure. But does that fall above the 10 outstanding bids that you need to turn in? No. So defer it. Make sense? And then the last thing is destroy. Look, we love to dream. We come up with these really cool ideas. I should redo my logo. I should buy a new truck. I should put 22s on there because that's super cool. Like, we come up with all these crazy ideas of what we should do. I need to redo my website. I need to. But the truth is, it's not going to move the needle the way that we actually want it to. And so, cool, write it down, stare at it, put a star by it, and then get rid of it. It's not what you need right now. It's not going to help you grow your business, right? So destroy it. Now, when it comes to you and your week, I want to give you a tool that, I kid you not, is the most powerful tool you will ever have in your tool belt, your toolbox, wherever it is that you hide your tools. Whatever it is that you do, this is the most powerful tool you'll ever have. Ready for it? It's called scheduling. Let me repeat that. It's called scheduling. But this is not reactive scheduling. This is proactive scheduling. Okay, how does it work? Well, let me show you. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to pull up your calendar. It's either going to be a written out calendar, it's going to be on your computer, but you're going to pull up your week. Okay, and you're going to look at your week and ask yourself 3 questions. The first question that you're going to ask yourself is, what am I doing for myself this week? Pause for dramatic effect. Think about this. When's the last time you did something for you? Something that makes you laugh, that fills you up, that makes you feel important, that makes you feel valued. When's the last time you did that? Now, if you're not sure what that is, if I was to ask you, what do you like to do for fun? That's the thing. It could be mountain biking, fishing, hunting, golfing. It could be getting a massage. Like, there's no limit to the things that it could be. But every single week, you need to fill yourself up. Because I want you to think of yourself like an ATM. It's super cool to go to the ATM, put your card in, punch your numbers, and then get cash to come back out. Isn't it? Feels cool. What doesn't feel cool is when you go to the ATM, you punch your numbers in, you try and pull cash out, there's no money. Yeah, I've been there. And I'm sure you have too. How do we avoid that? Well, you got to put money in the account, right? Well, it's the same thing with you. If you're an ATM, people are going to take, and they're going to take, and then they're going to take again from you. Your employees, your family, your clients and your customers, so on and so forth. If you're not filling up that tank, if you're not filling up that account, you've got nothing to give. So again, you are number 1. Number 2, family time. You got it. Family time. If you're married, you should be going on date night once a week. Sounds silly? I get it. But I'll tell you, it's one of the things that changed the relationship that I have with my wife. Because when you date, before you're married, you're going out together all the time, building the relationship. And then something happens when you get married. Stop. That's when relationships suffer. So date your wife. But there should be some type of family activity every week, right? Or what's important for the kids. It could be in dance. It could be in sports. Like, I've got my son's track schedule. He's doing pole vault. I've got his track schedule. Got it at the beginning of the year. And I put it into my calendar. Blocked off time before and after. Why? Because that's important to me. It's important for him to see me there. To see and know that I support him. Because when he graduates here in a month, like, that's it. There's no more. I can't go back and be like, yeah, son, I really wish I could have been there, but I was working. Sounds pretty lame, doesn't it? So don't be that guy. Be there for your kids, whether it's a soccer match or baseball or whatever, dance, like whatever the thing is, be there. Schedule that family time. Now, this funny thing's going to happen though. With the rest of the time that you don't believe that you have, you're going to fill it up with work stuff magically. Because work always fills in the blanks, right? It's like water. It's always going to fill in those cracks and those holes. Now, you can let work fill in the cracks and the holes, or you can be proactive about it with a process called time blocking. Now, how does time blocking work? Well, I want you to think of it like Legos. Cool thing about Legos is you can build whatever you want to build with those Legos, right? Think about time that way in your weekly schedule. If someone was to call you and ask you for a bid or an estimate, what is it that you would tell them? Sure, you'd ask the qualifying questions and all that, but at the end of it, you're going to be like, hey, Mr. Client, potential client, when can I come by and give you an estimate? And they're going to say Thursday, and you're going to look at your schedule and realize you can't do Thursday because you got other stuff going on. Now you're stuck. Now you're trying to figure out, well, can I move this thing around so I can go to this other thing because this other thing is important, but this one is too, so I got to make sure that I don't miss this. And now you're playing juggling act, right? Over and over and over again. Or you could take control of your schedule and say, Mr. Client, love to come out and give you an estimate. We have time Tuesday and Thursday afternoon. Which day works better for you? Well, Tuesday works better. Well, great. Does 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock work better for you? Well, 4 o'clock does. Well, awesome. Let me get your information. We'll get you on the calendar. We'll see you soon. What happened? Well, you got them scheduled just like you would have before, except now you got them scheduled in a time that works for you. Time blocking. Let's take it another step. Marketing. I know it's super cool to get referrals. Love it. It's great. The problem is you don't control referrals. They either come or they don't. You don't control them. It's nice to get them though. So don't have a business that's dependent on referrals. That means you need to market. But when are you marketing? Right? You wake up Sunday morning, Monday morning, and you're like, okay, I need to market this week. And then the phone calls and the emails and the text messages start, and then you don't ever get around to it. Or you say, hey, you know what? Every week, Monday from 1 to 3 and Thursday from 8 to 10, I'm going to market. I made the list of the people that I want to continue to build relationships with, or I want to start building relationships with. I'm going to schedule time then. Coffee, lunch, meet them at the job site, meet them at the office, drop off swag. Whatever the thing is, you're intentionally spending time building relationships and building your business, marketing, right? And you can do this with every other aspect of your business. Being on the job site, when you schedule the jobs, the days you schedule them for, right? All of these things can be done proactively versus reactionary. Okay, so be proactive about it. Now, think about this. Your business will only grow to the proportion which you grow. It's super cool to say, I want to grow, right? But it's another thing to actually do it, to put in the time and the effort. And it's going to take some change, and it's going to take some growth, and it's going to suck when you first start, and you're going to want to quit. I get it. But trust me, if you can learn to control time, everything changes. So let's put this to the test. We're here on Monday. Congratulations. Last week in April. Going to hit May already. What's the one thing that you need to accomplish this week? What's that one thing? Another way to phrase it, if you could only focus on one thing this week, what would it be? One thing. And I'm not talking about like all the things that come up and the fires you got to put out, but like the one thing that you need to do that by doing it will grow your business. So Max says more customers. Love it. But what does that mean? Does it mean I need to build 2 new referral relationships this week? Does it mean I need to close 2 out of the 5 bids that I have outstanding this week? Right? What does it actually mean? You need to get super specific, because here's the thing. Every single week, there's going to be things that go the way that you want them to, and there's going to be things that go the way that you don't. Some of those we can control and some of those we can't. But at the end of the day, if you have a singular focus, the thing that needs to get done, you will find a way to get it done. So think about this week and say, what do I need to get done this week? Right? Focus on one thing. What would that one thing be? And if you can think of that one thing very clearly, Now you can build out a game plan to get it done. Now you can schedule time to get it done. Now you can hire somebody to get it done. Now you can work with an employee and delegate the task to get it done, right? Super hyper focused. The more focused you can be in your business, the more you're going to get done. Now, if you guys have any questions, feel free to email us. We'd love to get your questions answered. But I want you to know, we love being here with you guys every Monday, okay? But you need to start taking advantage of the opportunity that's in front of you. There's a massive need for what you do in the marketplace. People need to know who you are and what you do. There's people that want to work with you and want to work for you. But your job is to become that business. Your job is to become that business owner that attracts those people to you. Take these tools, implement them into your life, into your business, and you're going to watch things grow. More clients, more employees, bigger jobs, ultimately control of your time and your freedom. All right, that's all we got for you. You guys know what time it is. It's time for you to get after it. 3, 2, 1. Off.
Contractor Plus is funded not by the deep pockets of venture capital firms in Silicon Valley, but by the real MVPs, our loyal fans and users. You've seen us grow. You've grown with us. Now this is your chance to invest and join us as a bona fide stakeholder in Contractor Plus. No velvet ropes, no accredited investors only. Whether you've got $100 or $100,000, this isn't just for the well-heeled. It's for everyone who believes in us or uses Contractor Plus and wants to help us revolutionize the industry. Check out Contractor Plus on WeFund. Invest what you can, and let's build the future of contractor collaboration together.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Mindset Mondays. Thank you for joining us and being a part of this incredible journey to not just be great at what you do, but to live a great life too. Remember, every tool, tip, and story shared here is a step towards building your dream, both on and off the job site.